All right, so we got in a watch from a jeweler in Oregon, and supposedly this is a Lange in Zona watch. I'll show you the back, a little bit of the sides and the front. This would be an awesome watch. The only problem is this is a replica. So we do not work on replica watches. I'm sure the jeweler probably didn't know that it was a replica, otherwise they wouldn't even bother to take it in from the client. If this was a real watch, I don't deal too much with Lange and Zona. We have sold some, we purchased and sold some, but few and far between. But I think this would be like a $70,000 watch if it was real. Now I want to show you some things that I immediately saw on this watch. So when you look on this dial, the first thing I notice is that missing paint right there in the 6 o'clock position. And then some other things that I noticed is, I know it's hard to capture, but like some of the stitching coming off on the strap. And then when we go to the back side, it's hard to see, but this self-winding rotor is a little bit warped or bent. It's not perfectly flat as it should be. But for me, it's very easy to tell that this is a fake watch. For a potential client, someone that's looking for a watch, whether it be a Lange or a Rolex or whatever it may be, it's very risky if you're not buying a watch from a reputable dealer, if you're not buying from a place to where if something does come up, or if you find out later that something on it is fake or the entire watch is fake, if you don't buy from a place to where you can return it and have some recourse with them, then you're basically going to eat the cost of whatever you pay for that watch. So it's very important, and I'm going to tell you a few tricks that will help you when making a decision to buy a watch. It'll help you determine whether it's real or not. And one of the biggest secret to determining if a watch is real or fake is this: just use common sense. It's just like when you look at a car or a pair of shoes or a wallet or a t-shirt, by using common sense, you could determine the quality of it. And so if you're not experienced with repairing watches or buying and selling watches, if you haven't dealt with a specific watch many times over, you haven't been professionally trained on it, your first thing that you want to do is you just use common sense and look at everything and kind of feel and touch. And like, just from the looks of it, like this strap, for example, this is such a cheap strap. Just by looking at it and feeling it and seeing the stitching coming apart, this is a strap made in China, very poor quality. And the same goes for the watch itself. When you feel a watch that's genuine uses some of the best materials that are out there, whether it's stainless steel or solid gold. This, just by feel, you can tell that this is probably not even real stainless steel. It's some lower grade steel mixed in with copper and other base metals. You look at the finishing of the movement. So a watch that's like supposedly $70,000, when you look at this movement, it looks that like it's so cheaply made, because it is. So again, you're going to use common sense. So always go by like feel and touch, visually inspect it. And like I showed you earlier, like paint is coming off of the dial. That typically doesn't happen on a watch that's of such high quality. And so that's the number one thing, just use common sense. And number two, I would say, always, if a deal is too good to be true, it probably is. So always remember that if a person is selling a fake watch and they know it's fake, chances are they're gonna do whatever they can to sell you that watch at whatever price. They'll probably, they might ask $50,000 and you negotiate with them. They would be willing to sell it for $20,000 just to get rid of it, because obviously they know it's fake. And this is true not just for watches too. It can be for telephones, it can be for other things if they're stolen goods. So that's always a red flag. If the price is too good to be true, probably there's something wrong with it. Now, again, it's hard for somebody that doesn't deal with stuff like this every day to determine if it's real or not. So one of the best advice that I can give you is take it to somebody that knows what they're looking at. Take it to a qualified watchmaker, take it to a qualified watch dealer, take it to somebody that has experience. And nobody wants to put money into a fake watch. And I wish I could just take this and take a hammer to it and destroy it, but unfortunately I cannot. I have to ship it back to the jeweler, and the jeweler needs to give it back to their client. Don't put money in fake watches. It's not worth it. Even if you only have $300 to spend on the watch, you don't have to buy like a fake Rolex or whatever. With that $300, there's so many good watches that you can buy that it's a real watch. Hey, that's what you can afford. You don't have to show off to people. It gives me more pleasure knowing that, hey, I put $300 into a watch that I can afford, but it's a real watch, whether it's a Seiko, or sometimes you can even find Belova or even some Omegas around the $300 to $400 price range. And why not put that money into a real watch than spending $300 on some fake replica that essentially you're buying, for what, to show off to others. So, and these replica watches, nowadays they make some that are very good quality that cost in the upwards of $1,500. There are some replica watches that they actually use real gold. And I know nobody talks about this, but there are replica watches where they use cases made out of real gold, and they sell in the upwards of $5,000 or more. So there's Pateks like that. And again, you have to be very careful. Buy from a reputable dealer, buy from somebody that's trusted, and put your money to something that's real, that's genuine. All right, so if you're wondering what I wear as a daily wearer, or what a watchmaker or watch dealer wears, well, I'll tell you, I have quite a few watches in my collection, and not only that, I have a lot of watches in my inventory, so I can pretty much wear whatever I want to wear every day. I kind of tend to put a watch on and then kind of stick with it for a few months, and I've been wearing this for a long time. Just a simple Tag Heuer quartz, but I love it because it has a lower profile, so when I'm working on stuff or even working on my laptop, it's not very thick, so I don't rub it or scratch it against my desk. And it's just a very reliable watch, but like I said, I can pretty much wear whatever I want to wear. We own a lot of watches that we buy to resell. I have watches in my own collection. I used to have this Omega Constellation in stainless steel that my wife bought for me many years ago at a watch show, but that watch was stolen from me. So that was my favorite watch, and I used to wear that quite a bit. But this is where I wear now a lot. And something like this can cost you as low as like $400. I mean, up to maybe $600 or $700, depending on condition. It's not gonna break the bank. So, but it is bang for your buck. Okay, so I'm gonna share with you guys some of the repairs that we did recently and some of the prices that we charge to do these repairs for our customers. We have repairs coming in every day. We have repairs going out every day. My father does most of the internal repairs. I do a lot of the external repairs, meaning the polishing of the cases and stuff like that. But here's some watches that we got in. This is a vintage 1970s Swiss-made Hamilton wristwatch. It's an automatic watch. It's from the 1970s, and it has a beautiful two-tone dial. We also call this a zoned dial. It's all stainless steel case. This repair cost the customer $200. It was complete overhaul service and put a new crystal in it. So this is a vintage IWC wristwatch. I believe it's 14K solid gold. But the beautiful part about it is that it's stamped Tiffany & Company. My dad did a complete overhaul service on this, inside out. So this repair was $350, complete overhaul service. The hairspring was bent. I think the client was trying to adjust the accuracy and he bent the hairspring, and it's not easy to recoil the hairspring, put it back in the proper shape that it's supposed to be in. We had a couple of Hamilton electrics that came in from a client, but we do not work on Hamilton electric wristwatches. We had this manual wind Hamilton come in for repairs, and the repair cost on this I believe was somewhere around $150 for overhaul service. So we get a lot of vintage watches, manual wind and automatic watches. All right, so we got a few watches from a customer in the UK. He's been a very good client of ours for over 15 years. He sends us all kinds of jobs. Said this is just a Seiko automatic vintage 1970s watch with dual date. The repair costs were somewhere around $175 to do this. And we have a self-winding Belova. This has a zone dial, original dial. The repair costs on this were somewhere around $150 for complete overhaul. And then from the same client, we get stuff even like this just for a simple battery repair. It's a quartz watch. He just wanted a battery repair. So let me put these away and I can show you some other stuff that we have in right now. But after my dad does the service, I like to check them for a few days, make sure they operate properly. If not, we obviously have to make more adjustments and stuff like that. So we have some repairs that just came in from a jeweler that's in California also. We haven't given them the estimate yet. I gotta give them estimates today. This is a vintage Hamilton watch. We will charge $200 for this to do a complete overhaul service, repair or replace the crown. And then we have a vintage Jaeger LeCoultre automatic bumper with power reserve indicator. And this one my dad estimated at $250 for overhaul service. And then we have a vintage, let's see, vintage Omega Seamaster bumper. This one also is going to need complete overhaul service and a new mainspring. We estimated this at $250. And many times, like, we get into these repairs, and if we've given the client an estimate and sometimes we find something else wrong, we typically will just do that. We won't charge the client extra unless it's something like really out of the ordinary. Like if it's on a Rolex, when we do a complete disassembly and we find something damaged, and Rolex parts are very expensive. But for the most part on watches like this, you know, like just a vintage Hamilton or Omega, stuff like that, we have a lot of parts in stock. If we come across something else, we're not going to raise the price on the customer when we're doing it. So we have to be really careful with our estimates and try to give a very accurate estimate, because we try to keep it like that. And we get a lot of pocket watches in for repairs. We have clients that have large collections of pocket watches. Some of them have 100 to 200 pocket watches. And we get old stuff like this, vintage Elgins, Walthams, Hamilton, Illinois, Ball, all kind of pocket watches. On this, we did overhaul service for $150 and we replaced the new crystal for $35. We're still testing it to see how it runs. Let's see what else we have. So we do warranty repairs for a lot of micro brands. This is Ocean Crawler. We get quite a bit of repairs from them, and not because they're not good watches, but they sell a lot of watches. And a lot of times some of these watches that come in, like these two that we have right now, these are basically user error. The customers left the crowns open and they went swimming with them. They got into the water and the watches got water damage. So we do warranty repairs for a lot of micro brands, not just Ocean Crawler, but other micro brands. And their clients send us the watches for a repair. We repair them under warranty. We send it back to the clients, and then the companies pay us for that. I have some more jobs here that I can show you from. This is actually more jobs from a different watchmaker. This is a antique Roscoff patented pocket watch. And this pocket watch needed a lot of repairs. It had a bent hairspring, escape wheel was broken, jewels were broken inside. The pocket watch was dropped. And besides that, the complete overhaul service my dad did on it, the repair cost on this was $400. We had a lady's Rolex that we did for a client, or same client actually. He's a watchmaker out of a different state. He's really busy with clock repairs in the state that he's in. He gets a lot of clocks for repairs. So he sends us a lot of his jobs that are wrist watches. So on most Rolex service, the costs are between $450 to $550 for complete inside-out overhaul service, complete disassembly, cleaning, oiling, timing, adjusting for accuracy, polishing and cleaning the case and the bracelet if the client wants that. Parts always cost more. In fact, later on I can show you a Rolex that I just sent in to Rolex myself because we didn't have the parts to repair it, and Rolex gave me an estimate of almost $2,000 to repair that Rolex. I can show it later exactly what needed to be done. So same customer. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jobs from this client. This is a modern Gerard Perregaux. I think this has a power reserve indicator and calendar function. We did a complete inside-out overhaul service on this watch. It's a beautiful solid gold watch. So we did the polishing of the case. We did servicing of the movement, and total price on this was around $250. So as I was saying about Rolex watches, we charge anywhere between $450 to $550 for complete overhaul service. But we had one in our inventory, and it's going to be available for sale soon again. It's a Rolex Submariner Bluesy with ceramic bezel, but the clasp on the backside, the safety on the clasp was broken. So we don't have something like that, and Rolex doesn't sell parts, so we had to take it to an AD so they can send it into Rolex for overhaul service. And they don't just do partial repairs. So the total bill for everything that they're doing is over $1,900. It was $850 for service, $672 to replace just the piece on the clasp that's broken. They want to charge $185 for repolishing the case. They don't want to include that in the service cost. $135 for a new gasket, new crown, which is not bad actually. $130 for a crystal. And then of course you have the $77 in taxes. So over $1,900 to do something with Rolex, and it might take about 2 to 3 months. But again, back to some of the watches that we have. This is an antique pocket watch. It's a Swiss-made pocket watch. It's kind of a lower end pocket watch, but it has a very beautiful case design on the front, on the back. We actually been working on this. We still need another part for it, which I don't know if we're gonna get. And to make parts, we don't do that anymore like we used to many years ago, because people just, they don't pay for the, you know, for making parts. On a pocket watch like this is, it's not in a solid gold case. Service cost is around $350. If we were to make a part, just one part would probably cost around $350. So you add on that to the cost of the service, you're looking at $700-800, and people just don't want to pay that, you know, for a pocket watch that's maybe worth $250, $300 at the most. And then one more job I have from this watchmaker. This was a solid gold Baume Mercier vintage watch. We did a complete overhaul service. This was a $200 repair. And that's it for that gentleman. And we have a job here that we did for a client at GP, Gerard Perajot. The client dropped this watch off in June of this year, and it is now November. He still has not picked it up. Some clients, they like their repairs done very fast and they come to pick them up fast, and some clients, I think we had one clock in our shop one time for 7 years. 7 years. A customer left a clock in our shop and we fixed it, we put it on the wall. By the time he picked it up, the clock was still working, but it was probably due for another service. Of course, we wouldn't reservice it for free, but he left it with us for 7 years. We've had clients that have left repairs with us for 2 years, wristwatches, and we do not auction them off, we do not sell them. We keep them in our safe until the client finally shows up. So, but it's definitely something we don't like to do, because at any given time we can have anywhere, you know, between 50 to maybe 150, 200 jobs in at once. So we want to get the jobs done fast and get them back to their customers, not keep them here for a long time, because it's a liability for us as well. And that's about it for now. We got a lot of other jobs, but it'll literally take another hour to go through everything. That's it for now. Cut.